Steinhouse, and welcome to Money Chat Now. Money Chat Now is a politically charged stock market pre-show giving you the politics behind the biggest moves in the stock market. It is presented with comedic common sense by an expert in financial literacy, and hey, that's me, Larry Steinhouse. Today is Monday, April 18th, and I want to welcome you to the show. We are here live on WWDB Radio 860 AM in Philadelphia, and we are live on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Hey, you can find me, if you're looking for me, that is, if you can find me on Facebook, TikTok, and other social media by searching Larry Steinhouse. And just a reminder, if you're watching online, hit that like button, hit that share button, and don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel and like the Money Chat Now page on Facebook. You can comment live during the show on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter, and please say hi so I know you're watching. Hey, by the way, if you're commenting from a group and it's not the Money Chat Now fan page, your name may not show up on my dashboard, so please go to the Money Chat Now fan page, comment there, like it, comment there, and that way I can recognize you. Money Chat Now is brought to you by Investor Schooling, and you can attend a complimentary class this Thursday by going to investorschooling.com. And there you will learn about real estate investing and stock option trading from those who do it every day. Hey, real quick, I want to say a couple of people watching online. I see we've got Joe, we've got James, we got Jeff, we got Barbara, and we got, it looks like James again, a different James. Awesome, guys. Thanks so much. I appreciate you guys watching, as always. All right, on today's show, we're going to be discussing the futures update. We're going to be talking about drilling on federal land. We're going to be talking about COVID lockdown results. Hey, Philadelphia is #1. Yeah, it's not what you think. And we're also going to be talking about how the government is once again trying to screw small business. All right, let's get into it. Hey, I got to ask you guys a question. Did you guys have a great holiday weekend? I hope so, because it's crunch time. We are now into the height of earnings season, and the market is going to get fun. All right, here's a quick recap of what happened last week. Of course, we had J.P. Morgan reporting terrible earnings, and I don't know, the stock is now at a 52-week low. We had Goldman Sachs also report earnings, and they did well. However, the stock is also near its 52-week low. We had Wells Fargo report, and they did okay, and the stock is not at its 52-week low. However, it's in a lower range than the past 52 weeks, so it's actually a lower range. It's not exactly low, but it's not exactly the low, but it's pretty low. We also are going to see Bank of America's earnings today, which, by the way, they did hit, and we'll talk about that in a little while. And that may be the catalyst for today's ups or downs. So the bank stocks are definitely showing signs of a crack in the economy. By the way, it's obvious that we're having a crack, and frankly, it's about time for that crack. I've been expecting it for the past 7 or 8 years. It's really the normal cycle of the markets, both the stock market and the real estate market. Cycles are typically 7 to 8 years, and if you consider that 2012 was the low point of the recession, this really should have started cycling around 2020. The only thing that moved it forward was the scamdemic and all the money that was infused into the economy. It's similar to what happened in 2001 when the terrorists flew into the Twin Towers. The normal recession should have happened right about that year, but the infusion of money into the economy at that time set back the timer, and we paid for it in 2008. By the way, I look at 2022 as 2006, and 2008 is only 2 years away. If you could go back in time to 2006, what would you do differently to make 2008 a non-incident in your personal financial situation? Would you sell your properties? Would you have cash or other precious metals? Would you change your investment strategy? Well, think about that, because we are there again. Honestly, we're there again, so think about it. All right, last week, we of course also had Elon Musk shaking up Twitter. As you know, he recently took an almost 10% stake in the company, and then he declined a board of directors seat and then offered $43 billion to buy out Twitter and take it private. Elon is a free speech advocate, and social media sites like Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and others have been aggressively blocking any views that they don't agree with. Musk, like most patriotic Americans, is sick of it. So this is his way to try to solve the problem. Anyway, his offer stirred up the board, and they have adopted the poison pill strategy to put in a method for Twitter to block the takeover. All right, let me explain what's going on here. Let me explain where Musk is with Twitter, and then I will explain what the poison pill strategy is and why it's really bad for stockholders. All right, Musk offers $43 billion, approximately $54 a share for the stock. If the board turns it down, Musk can now continue to buy shares until he owns so much of the company that he ends up with he ends up basically controlling it anyway. By the way, this is why he didn't want to be on the board of directors. As a board member, he would have been limited to owning no more than 14.9% of the company. So now he can just continue to buy shares because he's not a board member. The poison pill strategy is a strategy that allows board members to buy more stock of the company at a discount price. This will allow the board members to own more shares and try to block Musk from having a superior controlling share. In order for it to work, however, the board members have to be willing and able to buy enough shares to block Musk. That's going to take a lot of money. At the same time, the average shareholder will be seeing wild swings in the stock price as the board members position themselves. If they decide to do it, where does it leave Musk? My guess, laughing all the way to the bank. All right, I'm going to tell you to watch this stock during the week because it's going to be very entertaining. All right, let's see what the futures are doing right now. Right now, we have the Dow down about 25 points. We have the S&P down about 9 and the NASDAQ down around 40. All right, let's talk about what's going on with drilling in federal land. Apparently, now that the Biden family can no longer get kickbacks from the Ukraine, His Highness has decided to allow the people of the United States of America to get a possible benefit from his loss. If you recall, Biden, in another campaign speech blunder, said he would no longer allow for drilling oil on federal land. Well, of course, all that has changed. As of this week, the administration will resume selling leases to drill for oil and gas on federal lands. So why is Biden doing this? Well, it's simply a feeble attempt to lower gas prices. However, industry experts say it will take up to 6 months or at least 6 months to a year before new drilling on federal land would produce additional supply and ultimately bring down the cost of gas. That's from the time they start. They still have to put the equipment up. So if Biden thinks he's going to win points for his party in the midterms, this is clearly not going to help. Here's something even more interesting. The government is increasing the price of drilling on the federal land as well. So that means that the oil companies can drill on the federal land. However, it's going to cost them more. And of course, they will pass it on to the average American anyway. I bet you didn't even know how this works. Believe it or not, check this out. The government receives a royalty from the production of oil on federal land. The new royalty rate is going to be 18.75%, up from the previous 12.5% rate. Hey, Biden, stop putting Band-Aids on the major wounds you inflicted into the economy of the United States. Did anyone see the video of Biden shaking hands with no one? He finishes his speech, turns to his right, puts out his hand, and no one is there. It was like, it was like someone was there and left, but no one was there at all. Now, most people laughed and chuckled at this, making fun of the geriatric patient he is, but I actually took it very differently than most, and I took it very seriously. My thoughts were twofold. First, I remember the days and months before some of my elderly relatives died, they claimed to see Jesus in the room or someone in the room with them often, almost like someone preparing them for their journey. Look, knowing Biden, the other thought I had is it was the devil himself standing beside Biden and guiding him through the ordeal, just as he has his entire life. Well, we're never going to know what was Biden's head. Like when he dies, they probably went through an autopsy on his brain. But I'll bet if they would, they'd have a tough time navigating through the cobwebs anyway. So we're never going to know. The good news is that oil production will increase in the United States again, and maybe we'll get back to where we were, a year and a half ago when Trump had this country self-dependent. Unbelievable. All right, let's talk. I'm going to just say hello to a couple people who have joined us real quick. So it looks like we had Charles and Ken and Bill and Michael. Thanks, guys. All right, let's talk about COVID results, COVID lockdown results. So we spent the last 2 years trying to flatten the curve. The curve to keep hospitals from being overwhelmed with COVID patients. Do you guys remember this? Do you remember how panicked the country was and all the states were? Do you remember how the makeshift temporary hospitals they erected in sports arenas? How about the USS Comfort in New York? The Comfort was a floating hospital that was docked in the harbor to take on patients when the hospitals were overloaded. Well, do you remember how none of these extra hospitals or beds were used and we spent all that time locked down for, nothing? Yeah, of course I do. That's why I'm hosting, by the way, the Freedom and Finance event this Sunday. But before I tell you more about that, let's take a look at the governors of states and how they did controlling COVID and their economy in those states. So a new study has graded states by how well they handled the coronavirus pandemic and its subsequent restrictions and lockdowns. And they show a stark contrast between liberal and conservative states. So Steve Moore is an economist and co-founder of the Committee to Unleash Prosperity. I like that. The Committee to Unleash Prosperity. The fact that we have to even come up with a committee to unleash prosperity in the United States, it fascinates me. All right. His study showed that shutting down their economies and schools was by far the biggest mistake governors and state officials made during COVID, particularly in blue states, such as, well, actually, here, check this out. New York, California, New Jersey, and Illinois were among the worst in dealing with the coronavirus, performing poorly on every measure, the report said. Continuing, he showed that states like Utah, Nebraska, Vermont, Montana, South Dakota, and Florida, all governed by Republicans, received the highest score in the study. Most importantly, the study found that there was no correlation in those states that enacted stringent travel, vocation, and dining restrictions with lower death totals. The study verifies other studies which found that locking down businesses, stores, churches, schools, and restaurants had almost no impact on health outcomes across the states. Oh wait, how can I report this? Hey YouTube, I found this information on reputable news sites. Please don't shut me down. Please don't shut me down. Oh wait, I have a better idea. Hey YouTube, I disagree with the study completely. It can't be real. Those Democrat states are the GOAT. Boycott Florida. There, can I keep my YouTube account now? I seriously want to make a YouTube video about real medical misinformation and see if they ban me. Like how smoking cures cancer, how eating 7,000 calories a day will help you lose weight, or maybe, how eating heart-healthy foods like broccoli and spinach will kill you. What do you think? By the way, that reminds me, and I got to tell you, it reminds me, and if you're sick of this administration and sick of the masks and vaccine mandates and the Gestapo regimes in office, you want to be at the Freedom and Finance event this Sunday. We're hosting it this Sunday, April 24th at the Washington Crossing Inn. Of course, we're going to have as my special guests people like Bill Spadea, a real freedom fighter in New Jersey, and also the #1 radio talk show host there. We'll be having Doug Mastriano as a freedom fighter and a big hopeful in the governor's race for Pennsylvania. We're also going to have Teddy Daniels, his running mate for lieutenant governor, and a slew of people who will teach you how to invest in real estate, the stock market, apartment buildings, and will teach you how to find all the money you ever need for any deal. We actually were sold out, but we convinced the Washington Crossing Inn to give us an additional room, so we have 25 more seats left. So if you haven't signed up for this all-day event, go to 4mmw.com, 4mmw.com, before we sell out. All right, let's take a break.
Investor schooling. Those guys are everywhere.
Investor schooling? Those guys are everywhere.
Investor schooling.
Those guys are everywhere.
Investor Schooling. Those guys are everywhere. Register for a free class at investorschooling.com.
Welcome back to Money Chat Now. I'm your host, Larry Steinhouse. And if you'd like more information on investor schooling, you can go to investorschooling.com or call 866-424-2829, 866-424-2829. Hey, I want to thank you all for listening on WWDB Radio 860 AM in Philadelphia. And if you're watching online, please hit that share button so you can help your friends learn about how to make more money. Hit that like button and let me know you enjoy the show. And of course, you can leave comments on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube, and I'll try to respond to them live. All right, I see Jill has joined us. Thanks, Jill, for joining us. I totally appreciate you, and James as well. All right, so far we've been discussing the futures update, and right now the Dow is down 40, the S&P is down almost 12, and the NASDAQ is down about 50. Hey, we talked about how Biden is coming around and letting us drill on federal land. Duh. We've been talking about COVID lockdowns and how what a waste it was to lock down because it didn't do anything. And, of course, coming up is Philadelphia is #1 and screw small businesses. And then, of course, we have today's picks and plays. But first, did you hit that like button? Did you hit that share button yet? Don't forget to leave comments on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter. And if you're listening on WWDB Radio, be sure and set a preset to this station and listen every day at 7:30. Hey, we all know a new financial situation is coming. Will it be a recession or a simple downturn? Well, if you want to survive through it, you should order my new book. Go to barnesandnoble.com, look up Money Hacks by Larry Steinhouse, pre-order it, and I promise you're going to learn something. All right, let's get into the second half. Let's talk a little bit about Philadelphia. Hey, of course, the great city of Philadelphia. It turns out that Philadelphia, along with its shops, office buildings, and museums, you know, all the places you can't visit without a mask as of today, holds a place in America as number one. I just thought of something, by the way. I wonder if the museums in Philadelphia, along with their friends in cancel culture, have removed all the references to Patrick Henry. You know, the conservative right-winger who said, "Give me liberty or give me death." Can you imagine wearing your mask and having your Band-Aid covering your vaccine injection site and reading the words, "Give me liberty or give me death"? I don't know about you, but my head would explode. Anyway, I want to get back to Philadelphia's record as number one in the country. Number one in the country. Have you guys ever heard of the Kensington District in Philadelphia? Well, this wonderful tourist site includes over 800 homeless people living on the street. It also includes a series of burnt-down houses. And by the way, you can witness drug deals in broad daylight, and if you stay long enough, you will probably see a dead body either from a gunshot wound or just someone succumbing from an overdose of heroin or other fine pharmaceuticals available by just yelling out, "I'm buying." Yes, Kensington is now the number one worst place in America to be, and officials want to deem it, you ready for this? They want to deem it a FEMA disaster site. Yes, a FEMA disaster site. I don't know, am I laughing out loud? Because I'm crying inside. Holy moly, these Democrats don't miss a trick. If this plan works, the federal government will give the city all kinds of money on the guise that they will clean it up and be part of the city. Yeah, hey, Philadelphia, want to clean up your city? Get rid of the two idiots in charge, Kenny and Krasner. For those who are watching or listening to this show and don't know who these people are, they are the mayor and district attorney, and both of them encourage criminal behavior by no longer jailing criminals. How else are they going to convince the government that they should get FEMA money? Did I tell you guys about the Freedom and Finance event? Holy cow, I can't believe these Democrats. Unreal. Let's talk about the next thing these guys want to do, and they want to screw small businesses. Hey, during this pandemic, possibly in an attempt to keep the small business owner from revolting against the government gave grants and low-interest loans to business owners to help with the economic difficulties caused by government overreach. These programs included payroll protection grants and the famous EIDL loans. Well, believe it or not, the government still has billions of dollars that has not been delivered to business owners, either because of lack of knowledge of these funds or the complications to obtain these funds. The amount left is about $5 billion, and now the government wants to redirect this money away from small businesses to who, and they still may need it, but guess what they're going to redirect it to? Vaccines and therapeutics for the continuing saga of the biggest scamdemic ever portrayed in the world. Now, what does that mean? It simply means that Congress has obviously invested more of their own money into pharmaceutical companies, and they want the stocks of these companies to move up. There simply can't be any other conclusion. Many small businesses can use the additional funds that the government and their illegal lockdowns cause them to lose money and time. Yes, there were many who did receive loans and grants, and many businesses could use another round of loans. I know in my businesses, I probably lost about $1 million in income over the last 2 years. So will the government reallocate these funds? Hey, Congress, by the way, you know, small businesses are facing new challenges, including navigating supply chain bottlenecks and rising prices. Will you please either help them or stop deterring them from doing business with government overreach? Did I tell you guys about the Freedom and Finance event this Sunday? Go to 4mmw.com and sign up, will you? This is unbelievable what they're allowing to happen. All right, let's take a quick break, and we'll be back in a minute.
Investor schooling needs a new slogan.
Investor schooling? Never heard of.
Investor schooling?
Never heard of.
Investor schooling? never heard of them.
Any suggestions? Phil?
Investor schooling. We never heard of you either.
Investor Schooling. We never heard of you either. Register for a free class at investorschooling.com.
All right, welcome back to Money Chat Now. I'm your host, Larry Steinhouse. And of course, if you'd like more information on investor schooling, you can go to investorschooling.com or call 866-424-2829, 866-424-2829. Hey, by the way, if you guys are in the Newtown area this Wednesday, I'm going to be there with a couple of friends of mine, including actually Bill Spadia, and we're going to be hanging out in the Temperance House in Newtown. And if you want to come by, talk about real estate, talk about freedom, talk about masks, talk about anything, go to the Temperance House at 5:30 in Newtown, and we're going to be hanging out, and you'll get to see me in one of my fancy jackets, and we'll be having a really good time. Hey, a couple of people have joined us, Michael and Lewis. Thanks so much. I appreciate you guys. All right, we've been talking about the futures update, and right now the Dow is still down about 51, the S&P is down about 12, and the NASDAQ is down around 55. We also talked about the fact that Biden is now going to allow us to drill on federal land and charge more for it, of course. We also talked about COVID lockdown results and how when they locked down all these people, it pretty much did nothing. We talked about Philadelphia being the #1 state because Kensington is in it, and that's the worst place in America to be. So it actually sounds like it could be that the Ukraine might be a safer and better place than Philadelphia, Kensington area. We talked about how the government is screwing small business by not giving them loans anymore. And of course, coming up, we have today's picks and plays. But first, did you guys hit that like button yet? Did you guys hit that share button? Hey, let everybody know what great stocks are what great stock plays are coming by sharing this information. And of course, you can share in groups and on your own page. So do it. Hit that share button right now. You can also leave comments on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, or YouTube. And if you're listening on WWDB Radio, set one of your presets to the station and listen every day at 7:30 for all you need to know about politics behind the stock market. All right, let's talk about what's going to happen today. So I got to tell you, I think it's going to be another mixed day today. Earnings are not impressing Wall Street at all. And many of the money managers are getting more conservative in their trades as the threat of a recession is coming upon us. I mentioned earlier, but Twitter will be a lot of fun to watch. It was up a little bit in pre-market, but I think that those are really the people who just want to be entertained by watching it. And they want to watch it move up and down with each tweet Elon Musk tweets. So if you want to have a little bit of fun, you might want to place some calls on this. And every time it goes up 3 or 4 points, place some puts on it. And every time it goes down, it'd just be for fun. But just remember, that's pure gambling. But you're gambling on Musk's tweets, and there will be a lot of them. I'm also looking for AAL to move back down before the earnings announcement this week. Now, AAL might actually move up, and it might actually be a great stock, and I might actually miss it. But I did make a lot of money on it last week, as you guys know. So I'm kind of hoping it does move down. I'm kind of hoping it moves down below 18, and I'll be able to jump in on it again. Look, it may also be just a quick in and out play. Meta is troubling me because it's below 210. The earnings report is next week, and that scares me. They had terrible earnings report last quarter, and the stock was punished. I'm still concerned that the ad targeting is a problem. You know, the iPhone ad targeting where they have the iPhone has privacy settings and Facebook can't use them anymore. We have noticed that our ads, the ads here in investor schooling, are much less effective. I got to tell you also, banks don't look like the place to invest either, as their earnings are not coming in so good. Even Bank of America, their earnings came in, they did exceed Wall Street, but not by much. So I don't know. And to me, it looks like doom and gloom unless we get a catalyst this week. We'll need some good earnings report. Maybe we'll get lucky. Who knows? All right, let's take a final look at the futures and see what's going on here. Right now, we have the Dow is down about 49. We have the S&P down about 12, and the NASDAQ down around 50. So it's kind of nothing really much happening. All right, all the cryptos are kind of hovering in their smaller ranges now. Nothing major going on here. The cryptos are kind of moving. It's kind of like 38.42. Bitcoin 38,000 to 42,000, 38,000. So it's not much going on here. I think the major moves are already done. I don't think this is going to be kind of like sweeping that everyone thinks. I don't think 100,000 is going to happen, but who knows? All right, let's talk about gold and silver. Gold and silver are still creeping up quietly. I'm going to tell you, gold and silver is the place to be and probably the best place to park money right now, especially if the self-fulfilled prophecy of a recession comes true. Treasury bond is rushing towards 3, and it's over 2.85% now. Yikes. And oil is creeping up, and it's above 106 again. So that's kind of dangerous, too. I'd be careful with this because the Treasury bond's moving up, oil moving up. That's all bad stuff. Hey, I want to thank all the listeners on WWDB Radio 860 AM in Philadelphia. I want to thank you for your continued support. And if you're listening to the show, please reach out and let me know that you like the show. Hey, I also want to let you guys know once again that we have some cool stuff going on. So first of all, we have Wednesday night. As I said, we have a meet and greet, and it's an event at the Temperance House in Newtown. We'll be there from about 5:30 to 7:30. You'll find me at the bar. I'll probably be wearing one of my signature jackets and discussing real estate and other investments, and hopefully we'll see you there. And of course, as we know, we have a new financial situation coming up. Look, it's coming up. So if you guys want to pick up my book, the best way to survive it is read my book called Money Hacks. Look up Money Hacks by Larry Steinhouse and pre-order it today. You'll be very happy you did, I promise. I promise it's a good book, and I promise you're going to enjoy it. Hey, also, once again, we have the Freedom and Finances event this Sunday. So you want to take a look at that, go to 4mmw.com, 4mmw.com. We still have tickets left. And there's probably, if you ask me, I know the screen says 43, but there's probably about 18 seats left, and that's about it. But this event is great. We sold a lot of tickets over the weekend when we opened up another 25. So if you guys want to go, I think there's 18 or less left, whatever, but I know we're still selling them. Go to 4mmw.com. Look, you're going to see Doug Mastriano, you're going to see Bill Spady, or myself, a slew of other people teaching you how to make more money and how to be more free. And we're going to buy you lunch, and we're going to buy you breakfast, blah, blah, blah. You're going to have a really good time. You definitely will enjoy it. I think this is something that you would want to do because it's a good time to go. Hey, if I didn't already thank everybody, I want to thank the listeners on WWDB Radio AM 860 AM in Philadelphia. I want to thank you for your continued support. Of course, as you know, my name is Larry Steinhouse. I am the host of Money Chat Now, and I am the CEO of Investor Schooling. From time to time, I do own some of the assets and options discussed in the show, and the opinions discussed in the show are solely mine, and no one has asked me to discuss them. I don't know, sometimes people ask me not to discuss them, but hey, I'm going to do it anyway. All right, I want you guys all to have a profitable day.